Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever it is in the world you are streaming. Here on Twitter, as well as those of you in the YouTube spillover room, let's get right to it. Well, actually, I'll vamp for a couple of minutes and let people join the chat as we go live immediately following the final buzzer around here. A little bit more coherent thoughts tonight for obvious reasons. Get some overreaction in the chat like we always do, but that is perfectly acceptable. What's happening, everybody? All right. So let's discuss, shall we? First takeaway, strangely enough, was the Spurs tried to sneak Victor Wembanyama off the floor immediately following the final buzzer. The PR team ran out there before ESPN's PR team could go grab him because they have the rights to pick a player that they want to interview. How quickly they ran over to Wemby to get him off the floor to probably protect him and or delay his interview, I thought was an intentional strategy by the Spurs. And that was really smart because if you were waiting for the post-game interview like I was, like, are they going to talk to anybody after that game? They wanted Wemby, and he was practically the first one into the tunnel. So he walked by the step and repeat. He was going into the locker room, and eventually you could see someone as they switched back to like the main broadcast. You could see someone running down the tunnel to grab him and say, "We need to talk to Wemby. It's our right." But there is always this cat and mouse game that happens with team PR versus network PR, because the Spurs obviously don't want Wemby out there outside of team security more than he absolutely has to. So the hope is that they will just pick somebody else if it's not Wemby, but he eventually had to turn around and come back and talk to Lisa Salters. It's just one of those things that you pick up on when you're in the industry. And clearly with him going to the park yesterday, doing the drawing of the statue, security everywhere, they are micromanaging his safety in every regard. And I thought that was something that not a lot of people noticed happened after the final buzzer tonight. All right. Other than that, let's discuss why this series is now 2-1 and not 3-0. We are here rain or shine, by the way. And there is a reason why yours truly remains so level-headed until the team gets to 3 wins, because last time I checked, San Antonio, pretty fucking good themselves. 60-plus wins in the regular season did not happen by accident nor coming back down 3-2 against Oklahoma City, reigning champs. So I don't like it when I'm right. And unfortunately, I'm right in this case. Those of you that listened to today's morning show on Sirius XM predicted the Spurs by near double digits, even though that didn't come. They won by 4, I think. Thought the Spurs would win this game tonight. And the 3 ways that they were going to get it done. I'll repeat it because I know not all of you were paying attention to that as you are here live, only consuming nighttime content. I had 3 reasons why I picked the Spurs to win this game tonight. The first of which was I thought desperate times call for desperate measures. And I thought we would see single-digit Luke Cornett minutes at the absolute most. And he still, in his 9 minutes tonight, was in the red. But because your backs are up against the wall, it was going to force the Iron 5, the starting 5 of the San Antonio Spurs, which is essentially the starting 5 plus Dylan Harper at this point. Because now Keldon Johnson, honestly, might be unplayable himself. I thought they would cut the Luke Cornett minutes, and they would really put this on the Iron 5. So if no Cornett minutes are out there, or they're just in very small bursts, that will limit the opportunity for the Knicks to come back, which has been a requirement in those 2 games in San Antonio. Let's not forget that the Spurs had double-digit leads in both of them. That, too, did not happen by accident. That segues us to point number 2, which is in victory or defeat, the San Antonio Spurs have shown a propensity to pick up full court, both literally and figuratively. Literally should be obvious because Steph Castle, Devin Vassell, De'Aaron Fox, they're pressuring Jalen Brunson and making him work as much as possible. But we all now can notice, with the addition of Dylan Harper on the floor as well, how far that perimeter defense stretches. And you heard Tim Legler and Richard Jefferson bring it up on the broadcast tonight, that sometimes the Knicks aren't even getting into their offense until 7 or 8 seconds left on the shot clock. It takes them 8 seconds to get the ball across half court. Then they have to find a way to get Karl Anthony Towns or Jalen Brunson in a dribble handoff, and they're doing that 35, 40 feet away from the rim. That has been a common denominator in all 3 games of this series. And I thought tonight it was going to be enough to suggest that San Antonio would win this game if that perimeter pressure was finally felt by the Knicks. And how do we know that it was finally felt by the Knicks? Well, how does 0 for 9, maybe even 0 for 10 to start the fourth quarter from beyond the arc until that OG Anunoby 3 in the final seconds? I thought tonight, if you're going to use the boxing analogy of jabs to the liver, where you can shake them off in the first 2 rounds, but if you take enough of them and they accumulate, you usually feel them in the championship rounds. And previously, it was the Knicks with offensive rebounding and making the San Antonio Spurs pay for having Victor Wembanyama play free safety because he's not always around the rim when he has to close out. We'll get to that in just a second. San Antonio's version of throwing jabs to the liver is their perimeter defense. And the Knicks did not either have their legs or the ability to make threes tonight the same way that they have in the first 2 games, especially in the clutch. Now, with a 2-0 series lead, playing defense and exerting that amount of energy at that level is tiring as all hell. And because the Spurs have put themselves in a hole, they are going to have to win 4 out of 5 games to win the NBA Finals, which means we're likely headed for either 6, a minimum of 6, or even a game 7 if the Spurs are going to come out victorious. That, just on paper, it's not even an opinion, but a statement of fact that if we go 6 or 7 games, that means we've turned this series into a war of attrition. And if it becomes a war of attrition, the team that's playing 6 guys in the San Antonio Spurs, despite having the youthful 5, despite having that iron 5 that's going to start running minutes average in the low 40s, it got awfully close tonight with all those guys in the high 30s. But if they have to do this every single night with a Knicks bench that is going 9-10 deep themselves, I'm a little skeptical if San Antonio can complete the comeback. But for one night, that perimeter defense, point of attack backcourt, was feasting on the Knicks' inability to create offense by beating their individual defensive assignment. This is how the San Antonio Spurs got here in the first place. They're the one team that has a perimeter defense that is equal, if not better, than Oklahoma City's. And if we go back and watch this game, how many different possessions that I can show you throughout that 3 hours of game time where the Knicks had to rely on yet another Landry Shamet, OG Anunoby. How many times can they hit those bailout threes to save the Knicks, man? They hit a bunch in the first 2 games. They're still doing them now, so it's not like it's a fluke. But they had to rely on some extremely difficult shot making tonight. The result of which was a lot of those shots not going in at the same clip. They go 0 for the field to start the fourth quarter, and San Antonio comes out victorious. Now, this will be known as the big Victor Wembanyama game because of his box scores. But to me, believe it or not, despite finishing, I think, 5 of 18 from the floor the last time I checked, what did Dylan Harper finish tonight? I'm going to take a look real quick. Because honestly, sneaky MVP despite shooting 5 of 18 from the floor, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Dylan Harper finishes 5 of 18 from the field, 1 of 8 from beyond the arc. And the audacity to suggest that this was his game, he gave the Spurs 32 minutes tonight. He gave the Spurs 32 minutes tonight. And while Victor Wembanyama is busy out on the perimeter trying to close out against all of those Knicks 3-point shooters at the end of the first half, where I put together a compilation of him running around the entire half court, having to close out against OG. He overran that play. OG got a dunk from it. He was hanging out in the paint a little too long against Jalen Brunson at the top of the arc, who made him pay. He's hanging out. He forgets to close out on Josh Hart, who made him pay time and time again. And because Victor Wembanyama did not find himself down in the restricted area after a Knicks shot goes up all that often, he only finished with 8 total rebounds tonight, 7 of those defensive. That is not a lot considering 39 minutes played. I thought it was Dylan Harper going in there and cleaning the glass that won the Spurs this game tonight. He rebounds so he is so strong rebounding. If he jumps off of 2 feet and gets his fingers on that ball, he's in the class of Josh Hart. And that is high praise considering Josh Hart, in my opinion, is the best rebounding backcourt player in the world. When he goes up to rebound, man, they needed every single one of those, as the Knicks have killed the Spurs with second chance opportunities in the first 2 games. Dylan Harper cleared out those defensive possessions in which San Antonio busted their ass to force a difficult look from the Knicks. In the first 2 games, Mitchell Robinson or Josh Hart would keep a ball alive. There'd be some scramble, there'd be some OG miracle or grenade tossing, and it would just go in. But those second chance opportunities were not there tonight. Not even close. I could even prove that. Let's scroll down here. Offensive rebounds for the Knicks. They finished with 12. And meanwhile, I understand that San Antonio only had 6, but considering the Knicks, this is a big part of their offense. You will sign up for that every day, ending in Y. Dylan Harper's ability to finish off the defensive possession that does not count until you get the rebound, I thought won them this game tonight and kept the Knicks at an arm's length. And yes, he was inefficient from the field statistically, 5 of 18. But tell me, y'all, if it wasn't OG Anunoby blocking him at the rim, the downhill pressure that he is putting on this Knicks team right now, and if it's lightly contested, it feels like a guaranteed 2 points to the level of Kyrie Irving's finishing ability at the rim. He's not there yet because this is just a kid, but Mama Harper has taught him well. I thought that was outstanding stuff from Dylan Harper, despite shooting poorly. Every other facet of the game tonight, he was my MVP. I owe you guys one more point. So I gave you, the perimeter defense intensifying, making things difficult, and actually forcing the Knicks into missing shots. That was the first time this happened this series. Oh, and this was the big one too. The Knicks had figured out the pick and roll between De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama. It's a traditional high ball screen. The angle that De'Aaron Fox want to take is going downhill, and then you have Victor Wembanyama on a hard roll going to the rim. And we talked about why the Knicks defense was having some success in the second game post-game video, because they've been tagging him. This has been quantified. Coming into tonight's game via Sports Radar, Victor Wembanyama had hard rolled 47 times in the first 2 games. The data for game 3 is not out just yet, but this point still matters. 47 times in the first 2 games, Victor Wembanyama was either running through the paint off of roll action with a screen or free rolling. 27 of those 47 times, he had been tagged by a New York Knick. And what a tag means is little forearm to the sternum, a grabbing of the jersey in the hip, some sort of physicality to prevent him from being on a linear path to the rim, disrupt it so he has to go around or reset or throw off the timing of that pick and roll action. More than half the time he had been tagged. Now, to prevent that, you can still run pick and roll, but you got to deploy a different variation of it. So you go from a high ball screen, traditional pick and roll at the top. I think they called it, their play is called 54 action. You go to double drag, which is, everyone knows what double drag is, but if you don't, it's where staggered screens are set up diagonally on the floor. And you're going downhill diagonally using both of those staggered screens to disrupt your defender and hopefully force a switch or drop coverage of some kind. So you're still seeing screening action from one of the league's leading screening teams, but it was creatively different tonight. And De'Aaron Fox, I don't know if he's feeling better. I don't know if he got shot up with something, but when Fox goes off the dribble with that speed that gave him his nickname, Swipe a Fox, his ability to turn the corner and force downhill pressure on the Knicks' second line, which is where Karl-Anthony Towns is going into drop coverage, and forcing some of those corner guys to have to come over and assist, is a huge difference versus when Jalen Brunson was simply showing, hedging, and disrupting with a tag. So the way that they used pick and roll tonight was distinctly different, I thought, than the first 2 games. And then you saw Victor Wembanyama, of course, being a little bit more aggressive, getting to the rim. I was prepared, though, with the score of 108 to 100. 108 to 100 with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. Wemby smoked that left-handed layup at the rim. Jalen Brunson within 5 seconds, down the floor, foul, 2 free throws. And the Knicks started to come back. They got it within a single possession there. And that would have scarred me for life if I was a San Antonio Spurs fan, that we could have gone up 10, created double-digit separation in the clutch, and instead now it's a 2-possession game. That almost cost them. There were a lot of almosts tonight, but that one stood out. So Dylan Harper is my MVP of game 3. Victor Wembanyama is he gets the Wemby award. He gets MWP. I mean, most valuable Wemby, MVW. But the Knicks certainly are on to something versus the free safety defense that they want to run. Because I thought he looked annoyed and frustrated at the end of the first half, considering how much ground he had to cover and the lack of impact that he had on the glass. And I can show it to you real quick because this is what I'm talking about. Despite the victory tonight, this is what would concern me here. So Wemby's just kind of hanging out in the paint. Josh Hart's his man at the top, wide open. There's one, right? These are the final offensive possessions of the first half. He's closing out on Jalen Brunson, backs up to play free safety. Look, he's like, oh shit, I got to get to the corner. Closes out hard on OG. He had just got burned by OG. Slow rotation out to Jalen Brunson. That was for 3, but that's just a tiring amount of effort that's required. And this was a reckless closeout. He just, entire momentum, he overplays OG being stationary, and he just goes right by him for a dunk, just like we saw in game 2. So what's going to be asked of Victor Wembanyama, I think, for the remainder of this series? If this is the case, I don't think they can win this series. Now, the good news is their perimeter defense there in the second half locked down enough that the Knicks could not get into probing, dribble penetration, forcing rotations the same way that they did in the first 2 games in the compilation that you're watching right now. So this is where I think this series is going to be won eventually by the Knicks. You're going to see a lot of possessions like this. It's not that Wemby's making up for an error made by one of his teammates. This is a strategy, tactics that are being deployed by San Antonio. And I don't think this is going to work out long term. Yes, the Knicks missed a ton of shots there in the fourth quarter, and it certainly was due to the perimeter pressure that had its biggest effect this series. I just don't like the strategy at all. And man, it required Steph Castle. Man, you want to talk about a kid with some moxie. He gets put at the free throw line. He had to make both of those. And OG had just missed one a couple of minutes ago. Steph Castle making both of those free throws and then hitting his own grenade 3. And Knicks fans can't complain because Shamet, Alvarado, OG, Mikal, we've hit probably 5 times as many of those grenades as San Antonio has. But Steph, at the shot clock death, with the Knicks coming back, you could feel the magnitude of the moment. Here we go again with the young Spurs up against it. And Steph Castle hit the shot tonight. So if you're trying to determine who's eventually going to win this series, there's a couple of things going positively for the Knicks. One, that they are afforded the luxury of the lead, still up 2-1. If it goes to a war of attrition, they're going to win because they have more bodies and ability to disperse minutes. They got into some serious foul trouble tonight, and it ultimately didn't matter because the guy with the most amount of fouls was Landry Shamet. Everyone else had 4 fouls, but the Knicks can go to Mitchell Robinson. They got a big Jordan Clarkson game as well. Mikal Bridges was in a bit of foul trouble. Deuce McBride didn't get as much burn, but this was a big Jordan Clarkson game. So a war of attrition goes to the Knicks. I think the strategies of overextending a defense like that is going to require so much energy and effort with only 1 day of turnaround coming up before game 4. There is not 2 days of rest, but only 1 day. Now, there's no travel involved, but that 1 day of rest, can the Spurs continue to disrupt the Knicks getting into offense the way that they did tonight? Because I don't think Karl Anthony Towns made a single 3, if I'm not mistaken. Karl Anthony Towns finishes 4 of 10 from the field, 0 of 2 from beyond the arc, and was not getting any of those entry passes where the Knicks have been making their living. They're living and not losing a game since April. Karl Anthony Towns always gets that entry pass at the top of the arc, on a pretty standard flex cut. Like start the action here. But it's a little easier said than done. Dribbling the basketball up the floor and getting the ball to the guy that you want to be table setting for the rest of the team. San Antonio knows that, so they're going to make whoever's dribbling the ball up's life a living hell. So if you somehow get it to Cat, it's going to be with 6 seconds left, and he can't just stand there palming the basketball, surveying, and ultimately making the correct decision. He just is not afforded that amount of time. So they did a phenomenal job tonight of preventing a high quantity of those scenarios from happening. But I do not believe that it is sustainable considering they are now down to a 6-man rotation. So I've gotten every game of this series right so far. Game 1, Game 2, for those of you that have been tracking my predictions on the morning show. Game 1, Knicks. Game 2, Knicks. Game 3, Spurs. I've got Game 4 to the Knicks. I got Game 5 to San Antonio. And then I haven't budged off of Knicks in 6 where they close it out at home. So with that said, all 3 of my questions and or predictions, the potential became reality, and the Spurs are victorious in that exact way. And this is why we, meaning me, you won't find me running through the streets when the Knicks only have 2 series wins. We'll do that when they get to 3, because that means you're on the brink. But it was always still a series despite the daunting atmosphere that MSG provided tonight. All right. That's a lot of yapping. Thank you for hanging out. 19,000 of you. Jesus Christ. You see, I am able to articulate my points when I'm not nearly as emotional as I was at the end of Game 2. And those were emotional finishes, but I can actually talk basketball at a high level when I have my wits about me. But seeing it just play out the way that it did, I'm like, we're not going to win tonight. I felt that way even halfway through the third. Just like, that full court pressure was really, really affecting our quality of look tonight. All right, let me scroll some comments here because you guys are commenting, and this is meant to be a live show. The Jordan Clarkson, let me go to YouTube first because there's some of you in here. Ivan says that Jordan Clarkson grenade 3 was insane. Oh, that possession. You want to talk about a possession that went to absolute hell? That was one of the worst possessions of the night for the Knicks. Easily one of the worst. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that when Jalen Brunson was off the floor in foul trouble? And then Mikal Bridges was kind of like doing this with the ball and then put it on the floor. And you could hear Richard Jefferson ask, who's going to create offense for the Knicks? And then it was just kind of dribbling around with no purpose. And then Jordan Clarkson with his back turned to the rim just throws some shit up and it goes in. The Knicks have hit a lot of those. A lot of those. Not that many are supposed to go in, people. Knicks have been beneficiaries of a lot of tough shot making, which has gotten them to this point. So for Steph Castle's shot to go in, I was like, I belted an audible fuck. Because I knew like shit, that shit misses, man. We get the rebound, we're out. The Garden's going to come alive. But that was such a big shot by Steph Castle. That guy's got, what did Anthony Edwards say? Oh, gorilla nuts is what he said of Julius Randle. I don't even know what that means. The guy's got big nuts, man. He didn't win a national championship by accident. Great comment in YouTube. Jammer914 says, it does kind of sound like you're saying the Knicks almost won this game analytically. No, they did not. They most certainly did not. If any, the Spurs are now up 3-0 analytically with the way that their perimeter defense has performed. All right, let me head on over to Twitter here. If you have any questions other than blaming this loss on first comments I see, Donald Trump's fault. Okay. You're entitled to your opinion, but I'm looking for something to engage with. Wasted the OG game. I disagree. OG has been that good offensively for the Knicks for quite some time now. He has really been the number one punish 3 guy for when a defense collapses, someone that can either bail out the possession, off the dribble, mid-range pull-ups, top of the arc threes, the corner threes. That dude is so fucking good. And then the Knicks go small. Oh, How about this, by the way? When the Knicks went small in the second quarter, and did we get a sequence of it in the third quarter as well? Because you can't put Mitchell Robinson on the floor when the Knicks are in the bonus with 6 minutes left. So Mike Brown decided to go to a 3-minute OG Anunoby at the 5 before bringing Karl Anthony Towns back in. But Mitchell Robinson's minutes were limited because the Spurs were in foul trouble. I just saw a comment here that Cat was iced out tonight from Underrated M. Iced out, but that was not because of his apathy or lack of initiative. It was number one item on the agenda for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of aggressively defending the way that they do, picking up full court, is so that getting the ball to Karl Anthony Towns is that much more difficult. They executed that brilliantly tonight, I thought. And they have been previously. But they sure look tired in the fourth quarter if the game is close, the game is tight. They are spending a lot of energy. I mean, a lot of energy playing defense like that. Oh, the turn. Thank you, YouTube. YouTube, you guys are two different comment sections here. YouTube is doing well with the actual basketball questions, and Twitter is doing Twitter things. No offense, Twitter, but that's what Twitter's made for, is just like complaining about low-hanging fruit topics. 20 Days says 21 points off of turnovers for the Spurs versus 7 for the Knicks. Then I thought the Knicks were super careless with the ball, especially to start this game tonight. This felt like a power surge in the building where it was just too much positivity, anticipation, hype, and support. They threw the ball away. How many times there? Just like a cut that had miscommunication. Jordan Clarkson threw a ball away because he thought Josh Hart was running out into the fast break. Just turnover after turnover. Lazy turnovers too. And there was another turnover that resulted in a Karl Anthony Towns foul. And I about pulled my hair out at the, and I think that was at the end of the first quarter or something. But yes, the Knicks were as careless with the basketball tonight as they have been in quite some time. That is mostly because of the pressure from the San Antonio Spurs, but they were sloppy with it. Absolutely, yes. Mosley Joshua says, Karl Anthony Towns did not attack at all the entire game. Also, why did he not attempt a three-pointer until... Okay, I think I've answered that by now. C. Fish says, Cat was out there. I had no idea. Again. Well, Karl Anthony Towns in that second quarter, I think you have a little recency bias right now because at the end of the second quarter where the Knicks were streaking, they were up by 7 going into halftime. Karl Anthony Towns was barking in the ear of Luke Cornett, De'Aaron Fox, and Dylan Harper. And then Steph Castle got him at the other end. They did a nice little slow motion zoom in where he gave him like he was mouthing something back at him. Steph Castle's cold dude, man. But Karl Anthony Towns was feasting. He was bodega cat there for the final 4 minutes of the second quarter. So he was not invisible, but he was most certainly in the second half. Jammer in the YouTube chat says, you're talking about attrition, but games 4 through 7 all have 2 to 3 full days off, which means less attrition needed. But there's also travel because you're going back and forth between San Antonio and New York. Technically, you do get the extra day rest, but it's not like you're just sitting in a hotel, which would favor the San Antonio Spurs of the team with the shorter rotation. Absolutely. Sam D in the YouTube chat asks, thoughts on the Jalen Brunson ISO ball streaks of these games so far. He's being forced to hit some incredibly difficult shots, and he has been inefficient in the box score through 3 games. But you can tell when he went out of the game tonight, the Knicks were lost in the half-court set. So that's why I'm trying to tell you, like, Dylan Harper's 5 of 18 does not tell the story of his game tonight. I thought he was MVP for the San Antonio Spurs. And while Jalen Brunson is not shooting the ball well, the Knicks obviously need his gravity. Because if they can't get the ball to Cat and it's only dribble handoff action to Jalen Brunson and he's got to start the offense from 40 feet away, then it's all on his shoulders, man. And the Spurs tonight were able to defend Jalen Brunson without needing to send a second body. That has failed for the entirety of the playoffs. The Cavs tried it. The 76ers tried it. The Hawks tried it. Anyone but Jalen Brunson. And that's how you get your ass beat by Josh Hart or Landry Shamet or OG or Mikal. The Knicks are too good at spreading the floor and that all their guys can hit clutch shots. So if the Spurs can enjoy the luxury of a Castle, of a Sell, or a Fox, or a Harper being able to stay in front of Jalen Brunson and just force as tough a shots as possible, that's the most you can realistically ask for. Because the one that he hit against Devin Vassell on the fadeaway where he was falling over, like, how does that shit go in? Even if they sent two bodies, it wouldn't have mattered. Can we get an officiating review for tonight? Why does everyone in the chat, like even the Twitter side, you guys just want to keep talking about the refs, the refs, the refs? Why does the common fan always want to talk about the refs? Guys, it's the NBA Finals. Whether it's Tony Brothers, Scott Foster, or Mark Davis's crew, there is decades of precedent of these crew chiefs putting the whistle away with no blood, no foul. The only problem comes about when the enforcement is inconsistent. So in the third quarter, where they really tightened things up, that's why the players were starting to be like, oh, now you're starting to call it, and they were starting to call it on both sides. There were some egregious fouls that were not being called in the first half. They were being called in the second half. And then the fourth quarter took an eternity because both teams used, I think, 2 challenges each. They won all of their challenges. So there were timeouts, TV timeouts, challenge timeouts. It was a very staggered, stumbly road to the finish there in the fourth quarter. But in a game like that, people, if you are complaining because you thought there was a one-sided whistle because one team shot more free throws than the other, you could call multiple fouls tonight on every single possession. They would just be going to halftime right now if they were enforcing the rules based on the way they were enforcing them literally out of the rule book. There was a foul every 2 seconds tonight. You can't expect nor desire the rule book to be officiated literally, because then the product would be terrible. No one would watch. So both teams got to be expected to play through contact. I'm sorry that it's so different than the regular season. It's 2 different sports. But you should know by now that you're going to be able to get away with a lot. Both sides are going to get away because you only see the shit that we see on TV, by the way. The angles that they don't show us, someone's grabbing someone in the opposite corner, and it's a clear as day foul. So I'm not one to sit here and really bitch about the officiating. The only time I've ever even mentioned a name with a complaint was just Tyler Ford at the end of game 2. And that was just the Karl Anthony Towns, like the slight touching of the palm on Wemby's hip for the and one. Like that was just a complete outlier, but we move on. I broke the ATM says, who let scrawny nerd white boys like you talk basketball? You can come meet me at Venice Beach. I'll spot you 2 points, and I bet I'll beat your ass. Everyone's got a great jumper from behind a keyboard. Picking your ass up off the concrete for 30 minutes straight. I think you'll be commenting a little different. What else? Oh, there's a good one. Sam D, YouTube, says, Mitch Johnson attempting to sub in on that rushed inbounds to review a potential challenge was a huge shift in the game since the shot clock wasn't reset, forcing a contested 3. So what Mitch Johnson did is what every other coach and NBA team has done since the challenge process began. He did not figure out some loophole. Every single team sends a guy. Mark Daigneault has talked about this at length. Do you guys not remember the ghost sub that he kept at the scores table? Some G League guy? He was just standing at the scores table every second so that it afforded him an opportunity to look at the iPad for a couple more seconds. And then the refs eventually told him he's got to go back to the bench. This this is nothing new. If there was going to be any ruling there, it was going to be an illegal substitution on Dylan Harper, who entered the game without being accepted in, which I think is a delay of game and not a technical foul. But man, I am not losing a minute of sleep over that, as every team tries to do a late sub. JPC and YouTube. God, the stark differences between these two chats tonight. Twitter's, is this not a microcosm of social media right now? Like Twitter's yelling at me, yelling at each other. YouTube is in here with nuance, context, and even keeled thoughts on this game. It's perfect, but we move. JPC says, thank you, King. These streams are great. These streams are a great sanity check. I was mostly just salty about the no call on Wemby assaulting Brunson and there being no call. But we move on and protect the ball in game 4. Yeah, so to me, it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I stand on playoff basketball, no blood, no foul, prison ball rules. I wish the game would be more like that because it's my preferred style. Doesn't mean it has to be your preferred style. But if they're going to do that to Jalen Brunson, then I would like someone to do that to Victor Wembanyama. And we saw Victor Wembanyama take Jose Alvarado in game 2 because he boxed him out 15 feet away from the rim, take him by the neck and throw him away. There's nothing dirty. Like, stop trying to tag everyone dirty that's playing physical, because you people either call them bitches for being so soft and asking for fouls, or they're dirty because they're playing too physical. This is playoff basketball, man. I'm sorry. And maybe this is partly on the NBA for micromanaging physicality during the regular season, is it sets this precedent that, man, if that's a really hard foul, people just equate that to dirty. To me, that's just playoff basketball, man. And there's a reason why the two didn't fight. Jalen Brunson gets in his face, and I think Wemby went right over there and set another screen on him 2 seconds later anyway. So instead of like bitching about it, I would prefer the Knicks just hit Wemby at the other end as hard to pay him back. Blood for blood, as far as I'm concerned. All right, what else? Ben in YouTube wants me to talk about Keldon Johnson continuing to play poorly. Missed free throws and layups cost Wemby the 3 with the obvious push on Mitch. I'm near the point, Ben, where Keldon Johnson's unplayable in this series. And this to me is the complete inverse of Dylan Harper. Because if we go to these box scores and you didn't watch the game tonight, you're probably thinking like, oh man, the Spurs survived a 5 of 18 from Dylan Harper off the bench. Keldon went 3 of 5. I thought Keldon almost cost them their season tonight. Can't make free throws. Has no influence on the boards whatsoever. He continuously is fouling so egregiously, they were actually calling it. You know how bad you have to be fouling to get called for a violation in this type of game? The push in the back of Mitchell Robinson, as if that wasn't going to be seen or called. That was a 3-point swing, and then I think the Knicks went the other way and scored. So we're talking about like a 4 or 5 point swing. But if it's not going to be Keldon Johnson anymore, and it can't be Luke Cornett, who's left on the bench after Dylan Harper? The answer, I guess, is Carter Bryant. Are we looking at a 7-man rotation with Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant? Carter's at least made a couple of shots, but Keldon's almost unplayable. Jammer914 says, do you have any thoughts, ideas on how the Knicks can get the ball across midcourt quicker? Essentially, how they can get into the offensive set quicker. I mean, I think it's JB not bringing the ball up. Yeah, how about Jose Alvarado, who's once again brilliant tonight? Brilliant. This is his real value to the team. Heard about it in some post-game press conferences at the end of the regular season, and then it was on display in the playoffs. He has like 2 or 3 jobs on this Knicks team. The first of which is defense. He's a tremendous defender. He's a disruptor. Number two, catch and shoot threes. If you're open because the defense is collapsing on top of someone else's dribble penetration, we need you to make some shots. But above all, his most underrated skill has been getting the ball up the floor easily. Don't be taking that for granted anymore, people. Not after these 3 games. When someone just dribbles the ball across the half court line, it's because these guys are such talented basketball players. You just kind of assume that it's a formality that someone's going to get the ball into the front court before the 8 seconds expire. No, it's not, very clearly, as San Antonio continues to make the Knicks' life a living hell in that regard. But Jose Alvarado is a godsend at doing just that while getting Karl Anthony Towns the ball in a spot that he prefers, an advantageous entry pass. So I would almost look to Jose Alvarado to get a little bit more ball handling responsibility in game 4, especially because role players play better at home. We saw that tonight with Jordan Clarkson, saw that tonight with Jose Alvarado. I would like to think that his minutes might actually siphon some away from Deuce McBride, since he is more of a catch and shoot guy now versus a primary ball handler. You need a table setter and a ball handler. Jose Alvarado has been brilliant. That would be my proposal to you, Jammer. Just says that Dylan Harper needs to play 40 minutes. Cut Keldon's in half. Dylan Harper needs to play 40 minutes. Dylan Harper needs to play 40 minutes. That kid is sensational. Sensational. He is so bloody strong above the rim. And at that age, he makes finishing look like NBA 2K in real life, man. A noticeable difference versus everyone else on the floor. There was a Sohan sighting at the end of the first half. Saw that. Smiley Jogger says, "You're so calm tonight. Been calm the whole series. I will not get truly emotional until the Knicks have 3 wins, which means they are 1 away. Otherwise, this has been a series to me since night 1, 2 dramatic victories. Very proud of our boys. But if you watch the previous video, got to power through being a prisoner of the moment to lock in and remember that San Antonio did not get here by accident. The series is most certainly not over. Home court advantage does not just equal win. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not changing my prediction, but for the Knicks to win in 6, that means they have to lose 2 times. And I always had this one circled as the Spurs game. So right now I'm 3 for 3. A lot of comments in here. I don't know. Spurs fans are chirping me like they've done something here. You won a game. Congratulations. This is going to be a series. It's a 7-game series last time I checked. I guess that's part of being a fan, though. You're feeling good about yourself. This is a good way to spend your energy. I can take it. You're just not going to change me emotionally. I know the idea is to try and piss me off, but don't waste your time in this chat. I've been on the internet too long for you, I'm afraid. I'm so old that I can start saying I've been on the internet longer than you've been born. That's how long I've spent on Twitter. Champagny had a couple of big shots tonight in response to those Knicks threes. Every time the Knicks hit a tough 3, Champagny stepped into one. I thought he like broke his finger or jammed his finger. There was a play where he hit it during he was down there trying to stop Karl Anthony Towns on a putback, and Cat was like in pure violence mode. And he ended up grabbing his hand like this, and he was looking down at it as the camera panned from right to left, and Champagny was off the screen. But within like 5 seconds, he was back in the front court getting up a 3. And I thought, like, did he just dislocate a finger or some shit? He was on his shooting hand too, but apparently he was okay. M Dog in the YouTube chat is asking, does Harper take over Fox's starting spot? No. What about this game tonight would ever suggest that De'Aaron Fox needs to be benched? Did the pull-up shot that he hit out of the short corner just get erased from your mind? That's a former clutch player of the year right there. Hit a couple of big shots for them. He hasn't been great since the injury, but I thought he had his first step and bounce, and he made a really big shot for you guys tonight. That downhill pressure, even if he's not making his shots, is essential to getting Victor Wembanyama open. Yeah, I'm reading more YouTube chats tonight than Twitter. Addit, I can't pronounce your name. I apologize, but asks thoughts in the Brunson flagrant didn't look like much. Thanks for reading both X and YouTube. Yeah, so it wasn't the Jalen Brunson flagrant foul wasn't flagrant because of unsportsmanlike act. It's written in the rules that if you invade a jump shooter's landing space, ever since the Zaza Pachulia incident with Kawhi Leonard, that's a flagrant foul. And even though Brunson contested, turned, it was close, but it could have gone either way. Honestly, I didn't think it was some egregious flagrant foul. That was a huge possession because shot was made. You get 2 free throws to make 1, and then you get a possession. Champagny missed the first free throw, he makes the second, and then they turned it over. So it was only a 4-point possession. Could have been a lot worse. But Jalen Brunson did just barely close out to a level that was considered reckless. So it's not one that I'm griping over at all. Seven Erp says you don't have to give the refs grace. They are horrible. Would you care to expand why? Or were they horrible because your team lost? That's usually the case. Something tells me you're not a Spurs fan. Huskers for Life says, Rob, why haven't I listened to you after every Spurs game? Well done. Because I'm not doing these videos for Spurs games, only for Knicks games. But since we're playing the Spurs, they're obviously one of the main characters. Sarge Smash says, I don't think the Spurs are going to win this either. And I'm a Spurs fan, but I hope it ends up a good long series. I'm trying to step back from my ref screwed us homerism, which can be tough, admittedly. I would say it's tough for 95% of the watching audience because these are mainstream sports fans that are not expected to know the technicalities and the fine print of the rule book. Why is that a flagrant foul? He wasn't even trying to hurt him on that closeout because the way that the rule is written and the way that physicality is enforced, it's inconsistent. So it makes it really difficult for just a standard sports fan to keep track of what's a foul, what's not a foul. So then you ask the question on Twitter, it gets 1 million views and quote tweets, and everyone agrees with you, and it validates your point because other people are thinking the same way. That's called an echo chamber. But I haven't really, I have not thought that the officiating has been a detriment to the product whatsoever. It's always going to be extreme physicality in these type of games, and it's only going to get worse as it progresses. Because Tony Brothers is due another game at some point. So is Scott Foster. So is Mark Davis. This probably means we get Mark Davis in Game 7. So if you didn't like what you saw tonight, this is the crew you're likely going to see for a Game 7. Or at least the Mark Davis. Sam asks, do you think it's possible we can make Wemby a little shorter temporarily? That would certainly help the Knicks. Well, yep, when he had that alley-oop over Karl Anthony Towns, Cat did not look 7 feet during that play. M-Dog in the YouTube chat asks, do the Spurs change their stance on leaving Josh open for the rest of the series, or do they live with the results from tonight? In today's game, people, all these players are so skilled offensively, that you have to essentially say, what are we willing, or ask the question, what are we willing to concede? What are we willing to give up? Because you won't be able to stop everything, especially with the pace and space era that we're in. You have to pick something, someone to leave open that you're going to help off of when one of these brilliant offensive players gets into the paint, right? You can't just guard one-on-one anymore in today's game. So someone usually is going to be left open, or you're going to be tilting the floor to one side against another player. And Josh Hart's always going to be the guy that the team's forced to beat them. So the answer is yes, they will continue to leave open Josh Hart. And I think Josh Hart will continue to make them pay. He hasn't been needed to score in the first 2 games. He was doing a lot of the other stuff, the intangibles and the rebounding responsibilities. He was doing a lot more slashing and crashing when shots were going up. But tonight, he found himself open with the ball a lot more. So when he is not afraid to shoot ever, even though his three-point percentage is hovering around 30% for the playoffs, don't act like it's because he can't shoot. He may not be as proficient at it as everyone else on the Knicks team, but this is different than Lou Dort. This is no Ben Simmons. There's always that guy that you identify. We can leave him open. I just don't think he qualifies as that. Ivan says that the sequence with 3 blocks that ended with Fox blocking Cat was crucial with no foul called. Brunson made a bucket off of it, but that clock ran for sure. Occasional YouTube watcher asks, what are the odds Mikal Bridges has another no-show? Too many guys who can go off like Hart or Clarkson tonight. I didn't think it was a Mikal Bridges no-show. I thought Mikal Bridges got into foul trouble, and then the Knicks had something with Jordan Clarkson, so they went to him a lot more. Mikal Bridges has had plenty of games this year where he's just been out of the game completely in the fourth quarter, especially the NBA Cup final in Las Vegas against these very San Antonio Spurs. So he's had some big games, but he's also been benched for various reasons. No threes were made in that fourth quarter in the first 15 attempts until that Castle step in clutch one. Yeah, a lot of dead legs and inaccuracy tonight. I go back to Twitter. First comment I see from Garfield ESPN. Do you think Victor Wembanyama can fight? This is the difference between YouTube and Twitter, I swear. Not that it's a bad thing, Twitter, but the comments are much different here than they are on YouTube. Do I think Victor Wembanyama can fight? I think he would struggle against someone with a low center of gravity. If he was going up against a jiu-jitsu purple belt, he'd be dead in less than 30 seconds. Any ground fighter. AJ Like Sports says, I can't believe you had the Knicks taking both games in San Antonio. Why not? And I had San Antonio winning tonight. If you want tomorrow's prediction, well, I gave it away already. But we're going to talk about game 4 tomorrow on the Sirius XM show with Antonio. But he's got the Knicks in game 4. I've got the Knicks in game 4 as well. Were the Knicks not getting calls, or did they start taking too many jumpers in the second half? They were taking a lot of jumpers because they were forced to. Not able to get to the rim the same way that they did at the end of the first half there, for sure. B. Sullivan says, I was hoping for a Trump post-game interview. He left with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And Dolan went back down to the floor as well. Handel says, Devin Vassell hasn't been great this series. He made a lot of shots there at the start of the game tonight, but we didn't hear much from him after. Most Curved in the Twitter chat says, rename the Wemby Eurostep to the French dip. Isn't that the same thing as au jus? Should we call it au jus? Or is that different? These Twitter comments are ridiculous. Trump fell asleep. Danhausen is done. The Knicks are cursed now. The video you guys are talking about with him falling asleep was like 7 seconds long or something. I mean, come on. It's got like 10 million views. For as much as I love Twitter, boy, do I treat everyone guilty until proven innocent. Can't tell you the last time I read something or watched something without, like, as soon as I'm done, following up on what parts were real, what parts not real, what's taken out of context, what's yeah, you have to be thinking about all of those things. There's just zero accountability of fact checking. How did I like Obsession? Dude, that shit kept me up. I was trying to go to bed early last night because I was considering taking the red eye to New York if the Knicks won the game tonight. Thankfully, I don't have to do that. And by the way, unfortunately, I got denied. We were not able to add additional credentials for SiriusXM. So unfortunately, I will not be able to cover the end of the series, which likely means I'm probably not going to go to the games. So instead, I stayed up last night and I watched the movie Obsession, and that was scary as shit. That shit got me fucked up. That is a scary movie. Michael Bloomberg. There was a Michael Bloomberg sighting tonight. He got ran into courtside by Jose Alvarado. Did you guys see Dave Chappelle go running up to him and be like, "You all right, buddy?" He like kind of taunted him a little bit. I don't even know what that was about. Then he ran back to his seat. That is as busy of a celebrity row as I have ever seen. It was so busy that anyone that was watching on International League Pass, they showed the suite of celebrities for the overflow. John Leguizamo, John Hamm. Is it John Leguizamo? John Hamm. Who's the SNL guy that dated Kim Kardashian? That guy. They were all up there in the suite because they probably didn't have anything down on the floor. Oh, we even got one of our friends of the program here and longtime Spurs fan, Steve Helwick, says, "I've never been less excited after a playoff win." Yeah, there's some troubling tendencies, I think, that are going to catch up to them later in this series. But if you get a win any way possible, I think you should be happy with it. But I do agree that I don't think they can continue this style of defense with this short of a bench. They're going to run into Knicks problems from last year against the Indiana Pacers, where they were throwing hockey shifts of guys at the Knicks. I think that's going to catch up to them. If they suffer one injury to any of those 6 guys, they won't win another game. They have to really bet on that youth, man. They cannot afford any sort of. Harrison Barnes didn't even get minutes tonight. Keldon and Cornette are unplayable, which means all you have is Dylan Harper. Pete Davidson, thank you. Yes, I was scared as shit watching that actress in Obsession. Was that one of the YouTube creators that made that movie? If you haven't seen Obsession, wow, very scary. What would my one wish, Willow, be? Get that shit away from me. That thing was evil. How she kept like tweaking in and out of it too, like, kill me, kill me. Oh my God. Be careful what you wish for because you might actually get it. That's the moral of that story, people. That was Dave Chappelle that ran up to Bloomberg. Yes. You could see it in the corner. And while Bloomberg's like checking if he's bleeding, Chappelle comes up on his knees and he gives him I don't know what the hell he said. Like, give him a little Jadakiss laugh. Thank you, chat. Pete Davidson. Yeah, there was a shit ton of celebrities there. And it's always an interesting dynamic to see who has built enough equity with the Knicks, which means you have to be James Dolan's friend to get the feet on the wood seats. And it's all like the former Sopranos, Larry David. You have to go to a lot of regular season games. There's rules. You have to be friendly. You have to do free hits for James Dolan for the Garden of Dreams Foundation. You have to appear on the scoreboard saying things and supporting all things MSG, talk positively about the NYPD and the fire department. You got to do all these free gigs. So watching the A-list celebrity dynamic of who's qualified for that is always fascinating to watch, because if you don't qualify, you get row 2, row 3 seats. You don't get feet on the wood. You better be like uber super A-lister. You better be Derek Jeter or Eli Manning to get those seats. And that's who was sitting courtside tonight. DK from NY in the chat says Mike Brown post-game presser said, quote, I never thought I'd be in an NBA Finals game and see in the second half 24 free throw attempts to another team's 8. San Antonio's a great team. It's going to lower our odds big time if in game 4 they get 24 free throws second half to our 8. I don't want to hear it. But he's saying this because it's a head coach's responsibility to plant the seed so that the referees consider giving the Knicks some more 50-50 calls. He's been around long enough to know that's probably not going to do anything. It's just kind of his job to do that. And I also don't want to hear it because the game was super physical tonight. I would sign up for call your own fouls if I could. I love physicality and dudes getting mauled. A lot of younger generation that grows up with a different sport thinks differently, that they would prefer the offense to be on full display. I'm sorry. It's just a generational thing. I love bad boys basketball. I love 90s basketball. I love final scores of 77-76. So just my own personal opinion, I want these teams to kill each other. So I'd be a hypocrite if I said, well, the Knicks are getting a bad whistle, but the Spurs aren't. Both teams were grabbing the hell out of each other all night. Honestly, Kelly Olynyk would be ready if needed. I don't know why they don't try it. Kelly Olynyk's washed at the end of his career, but anything is better than Cornette and Keldon Johnson right now. Like even Biyombo minutes to go out there and be physical and rebound for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes is all we need. Anything but those names that I just mentioned. Harrison Barnes has lost his spot apparently. Oh God. Wobb's One Wish Willow is a Knicks dynasty? No, man, because some shit would happen. A Knicks dynasty, some shit would happen that would make it not worth it. No, I'm never breaking that One Wish Willow ever. Steve says, I saw the Sirius XM desk in the concourse at game 2 and was looking for you. They had a good crowd around them. Yeah, they were live on scene in San Antonio. And in New York, it is Frank Isola and Scalabrini with Greg Anthony have been doing the New York show, but it's not in the arena. It is at Legends across the street. But in San Antonio, it's inside because it's obviously a little different in San Antonio than it is in New York, especially with the president there. So, but yeah, that's Justin Termini and Eddie Johnson. So they do the drive time show in the afternoon. Frankie Ice and Scalabrini do the show in the mornings, drive time. And we're midday. Sid asks, what Sirius station am I on? Channel 86 from 2 to 4 Eastern with Antonio Daniels. Nick Soccer says the physicality was inconsistent on both sides. Felt the referees picked times where they called cheap fouls, then let murder go. Well, that is correct because the third quarter was tightly officiated. Yes. If you have any gripe, it should always be the inconsistency. If you set that precedent in the first half that we're letting the bad boy rules, the Jordan rules go, or pre-Jordan rules go, then that should be the case for the remainder of the game. But it obviously got to a breaking point where some guys are going to get injured if we continue to enforce the rule book this loosely. I think I already answered the Wemby dirty plays. To me, that's finals basketball. How do I feel about Wemby's response in the postgame press conference to if he's a New York villain? He said, quote, I guess I'm no Trae Young, though. Yeah, perfect answer. No one will be as hated as Trae Young, Reggie Miller. Michael Jordan wasn't a villain. The guy just like won all the time. Those are the two bigger villains that I can think of. The Knicks weren't good enough to have villains in the 2000s. No. Habino suggests activating the Huck Porty protocol if Wemby does that funny shit with Brunson again. Maybe do you send Sohan out there? Would Sohan get a little nasty with his former relationship? He wins a championship ring either way. How awkward would that be if Jeremy Sohan goes out there and goons Victor Wembanyama? I have a feeling the chat's gonna, you know what I'm talking about. If he's a goon to Victor Wembanyama, hurts him somehow, and then he accepts a championship ring after the Spurs come back to win without Wemby, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And this is going to get screen recorded because I use this word, which all you Zoomers just always say pause about. But yeah, he's going to get a ring either way. Don't put it like the question marks. Like I know goons have something to do with like pogs, but I'm a 90s guy. Pogs are a game that you play with slammers, and goons are people that you sent into a game to rough someone else up. I'm not even gonna. The difference here, YouTube knows what I'm talking about, and Twitter does not. Twitter is just erupting with, he said what? They got a bunch of teenagers over here. Rob always on some bullshit late at night. Yes, I agree. I miss when goon meant a low-level henchman in a mob. Thank you. Scott's getting our show back on the tracks here. I feel like the rotations tonight were just so far off from the past two games. Having that Clarkson, Shamet, Jose lineup just didn't work. Clarkson, too many turnovers. And, well, hold on. Clarkson had a monster game offensively tonight. I thought he was a really important source of offense. Clarkson, too many turnovers and defensive gambles, I thought. Okay. I guess the second part of your take is fair, but the Knicks hung around because of Clarkson's offense, and they once again put Cornette minutes into the red because of how they were able to win those non-Wemby on the floor sequences. JPC says the inconsistency has been my main gripe as well. I'm all for physicality, but there has been bits of inconsistency that have been frustrating, especially with the T on Mitch that got taken back. Right. So that one got rescinded. It cost the Knicks a free throw in that one game. I would be more upset about those than the inconsistency. Like the T's for, I loved how they let Landry Shamet and Devin Vassell had a run in tonight. Like, just let that shit go. Unless they're throwing punches, no technicals are necessary. Not even don't even do the double T. Oh, it's fair. Both sides get a T. Well, now you totally like fuck this game up, because if they get one more, they're ejected. And it was just so unnecessary to give a T out like that. They're emotional. They're playing with extremely high intensity. Unless there is there's physical contact, no technical fouls. Okay. Twitter, you guys are now in a full conversation of debating gooning. Gooner equals the other thing. Goon equals, enforcer. Stop putting goon into players' names. This is why you're Twitter, YouTube. We had such good momentum with basketball talk here. Yes, also Gooner equals Arsenal fan. Scott says, I love OG and how he always locks up Harper at the rim. He had two nice rejections as Harper tried to go up and under and like spin it, and OG was there to meet him twice. Yeah. He can always read Harper finding a way back to his left hand. Preach on that. And a lot of Harper's stuff is done below the hip out of the holster. And with OG's size, his height, and his wingspan, he can make up for a lot of that room that Dylan Harper creates with his off the dribble. How important was it for Wemby to get two dunks to start his night? No matter how that ball goes through the hoop, That always gets the stars going. Free throws, layups, dunks. When you see a couple go in, you just start shooting with confidence, knowing I've already got a couple in the bank. So I can maybe start to stretch the floor a little bit and settle for some jumpers. And I don't have to worry about explaining why I went 1 of 13 from the field. Carly, you already know the answer to the Scott Pelly thoughts. You know what side I'm on. If you're starting a franchise, do you go Flag or Harper? I'll go Flag, but it's not as obvious as my quick decision making sure suggests. Harper's, God, that Harper can defend too. I'm more in love with his ability to rebound above all. How that dude goes up there and just, I mean, grips balls 12 feet above the floor. He is up there. This ball is mine. Like, that's some shit the Knicks do, man. Such a strong rebounder. He never loses control of that basketball, even when he's putting it on the floor. What a beast. Man, his creativity is something. I would take Cooper mainly because of his size, but Harper is fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm taking Flag because of his versatility at 6'9" is the answer. Yeah. Seb says, I feel like Wemby really held back from 3 tonight, even though he didn't have to. I think he's going to have to let it fly next game, and he might be like 6 of 8 from 3. That is the only way I see the Knicks losing. Yeah. I don't mind that take. I think you're going to see a lot more downhill attempts from Brunson, really embellishing contact to put the pressure on the referees to get those perimeter defenders into foul trouble, because they have been super aggressive. And if they run into a crew that has tendencies to be a little bit more tighter with the whistle, that is not going to favor San Antonio for 2 reasons. 1, they want to be on the perimeter grabbing and holding. And 2, they don't have a bench to go to. So if we get into a whole foul trouble game because these referees are taking over, that is undoubtedly an advantage for the New York Knicks. Undoubtedly. They will trade fouls all night long to key players. So we'll see who gets selected for game 4. And we could see a completely different dynamic of that full court pressure if they feel like we can't do the same shit we did in the first 3 games. That's why you always have to pay attention to these referees and their tendencies. And I've even heard from one of Antonio's best takes is, as a former player for 13 years and now obviously full-time analyst, but still a student of the game, the one suggestion that he continues to make is he would like to see the same referees for the entirety of each playoff series. Meaning from game 1 to game 7, you get the same crew. Because even if they aren't your preferred style, you at least know what to expect. Because all these referees are different humans. They see the game differently. They're all enforcing the rules from the same rule book. But we can't sit here and act like it's a litter of puppies. Some puppies are going to be chill. Some are going to be super energetic and hyper. You know, which one is better for you and your needs? Talis in the Twitter chat says Brunson would have to dribble clear at half court so he has enough space to pick up steam, and it doesn't seem like the Spurs would give him that luxury. Well, he's going to do a lot of that because Steph Castle is riding him, not necessarily touching him, but running parallel with him every time Brunson tries to turn downhill. But any time that there is just the slightest of body contact, because we know Brunson's eventually going to start going like this and feeling the shoulders, and he's going to start throwing the head back. If you get a crew that is blowing the whistle on that stuff, then that full court pressure is going to be nullified. L. Kerbin in the YouTube chat asks, all night we've talked about scenarios in this series that favor the Knicks. Are there any that favor the Spurs that can help them win this series? I think it is essentially the antithesis of what I just proposed here. If they continue to have these crews permit them to defend physically like this, which is the precedent as you progress throughout a series, they let more and more contact go. So if these games are officiated similar to the first three, that will favor San Antonio for sure. Well, that's the counter to Antonio's proposal. Added says that would be dumb because what if a physical team gets a soft referee and there's an auto disadvantage? Sure. Yeah. I'm sure they have their reasons to continue to turn it over, but um, a soft referee at least will know what's coming. Handle in the Twitter chat says YouTube is currently providing full sentences for their chats. We really are intellectually inferior here on Twitter. Yeah, why? All I do is shit post on Twitter for a reason. I know who the audience is. Come on. This shit is rigged. Thank you, Twitter. Any other contributions to the show? What a great comment. You are the intellectually inferior social media, and it's my preferred social media app. We're just drunk and high over here. Sure. Vamos, Boca. Este Argentina. Buenos Aires. I walked around that stadium. I enjoyed my time in La Boca. I was down there at the Sunday market. I got to find a new place in South America to go next December. Thinking about Peru. Max says, I'm still thinking about that Steph Castle grenade. Cat was about to make Wemby cry, and then he really hit that shit. Yeah. Yeah, that was a tough shot, but the Knicks have made a lot. I don't think we can complain about that Hail Mary going in. YouTube equals polite discourse and ball knowledge. Twitter debating the word gooning. Chat GPT ass audience on YouTube. Twitter is better. We're drunk. Twitter is better. We are not drunk. That's also perfect for Twitter. No, you just type the, and someone will be like, what the fuck? Always find a way to argue with you. Who do I have winning the FIFA World Cup? Well, I made 2 bets just because of the path of their groups. I bet Argentina again, and I bet Belgium, because Belgium is the one team that may not have to play a number 1 seed until the quarterfinal. I don't like how they changed the knockout round. They added a whole nother. There's no point even playing the group stage. Even third place teams are going to make the fucking knockout round. It dilutes the whole group stage. You have to come in last place practically, or be incredibly shitty third place team to not make the knockout stage now. How many more losses until you're actually concerned? I will be concerned or excited when one of the teams has 3 wins in the series. Until then, 7-game series. You're going to see the same stoic wob that you see in the first 3 games. Even keeled, level-headed. It's kind of boring, but I've just been through too many of these wars before. So when a team gets to 3, we will really start to escalate the emotion of it all. But for now, why? It's 2-1. We're guaranteed to go back to San Antonio one way or another. So am I going to see a match in person? Hell no. I ain't paying no damn $2,000 to watch Tahiti play Uzbekistan. Give me a fucking break. The group stages are basically the good teams warming up. Yeah. It affects your path, but if this goes 6, we will get traffic hell in New York City with the NBA Finals and World Cup going, and some poor random Europeans will eventually get lost and end up on 7th Avenue. I don't even think you're allowed to take the NJ Transit because of the World Cup, because they changed the pricing to like they lowered it down to $100 or like $50 or something. But yeah, Tuvalu versus Kazakhstan. Yeah, really looking forward to that one. Let me tell you. Don't mess with Tahiti, please. We food in beach soccer. Are you from Tahiti? Why more? I'm sure it's a lovely place. There's also direct flights from LA, so I'll have to go one day. Game 6 is France versus Senegal in Jersey. Wow. Yikes. With a closeout game at the Garden. Oh, I heard Chuck say, Cardi B, those are more like Cardi D's. Yeah, I did not listen. Not the biggest Cardi D fan here. I spent my halftime making raps. I prefer some, I'm a fella. An Ella fella. I prefer some Ella Langley. I don't think the audience would. The NBA audience would. Come through. Oh, USA versus Paraguay's here in LA? Oh. I didn't know that. If someone wants to give me a ticket, I'll go to that. But I'm not paying no damn $1,000 to watch group stage soccer. Knockout stage? Yeah. Group stage that doesn't even matter? No. Ella Langley has somehow, some way usurped Lainey Wilson as Wobb's #1 at the moment. I was in New York today for the first time in a while. World Cup fever hasn't even caught on yet. Too busy focused on the Knicks. That makes sense. Yeah. 2 USA games are in LA. Oh. Oh, here. Okay, back to YouTube. Oh, where doesn't LA have direct flights to? You'd be surprised. They don't have a lot of South American flights. You can only go to Bogota, Lima, Santiago. I think that's it. Direct. I might be missing one. They have a ton of flights to Asia and the Pacific, but flying to Europe could be a little limited sometimes, depending on the season. Any music recommendations? Yeah, Ella Langley. Rank your finals MVP after 3 games. Well, the Knicks are still winning, so it's got to go. Cat didn't have a great game tonight, but nor did Brunson. Brunson finished with, I didn't even look at his box score. 11 of 25 for Brunson, 32 points. I'm still going to go Cat 1, Brunson 2, Wemby 3. With OG starting to get up there, though. OG, That would be my order if the Knicks win. Cat, Brunson, OG. But if he keeps shooting and defending like this, OG might actually get some votes, yeah. His offense has been like a complete godsend, and he's just shooting the leather off the ball. Unfortunately, you are right, Nick Soccer. She's not Celtic Shaq. Lainey Wilson's, don't say that about. She's like Miami Shaq. The problem is she's too popular now, and she's doing like pop songs. She's going to start becoming Carrie Underwood because of her success. She's losing her country. She's turning into like pop star. Because Taylor Swift was originally country. You're going to start to make her even more and more mainstream. Ella, for now, is country. And it's new, too. She doesn't have much of a stage presence. She's just getting going with concerts, but she's got it. She's going to take some time, though. She's the Dylan Harper of country music. No, we can't be doing this One Wish Willow. Like, you can't have someone fall in love with you because then it turns into the movie Obsession. Scott says, why do guards continue to go over when Harper is the ball handler in screens? He's looking nowhere but to get to the rim should they play drop. Yeah, the Knicks are in drop most of the time with Cat, but not the other guys. Remember, drop coverage does require whoever's involved in the screen to really, really show and disrupt. Otherwise, drop coverage is just conceding anything that the ball handler wants if they're able to turn the corner. They can pull up for free in the mid-range. They can continue to dribble and get downhill with some serious momentum while someone else is backpedaling. They can also have an unobstructed view of the corners and defer if they so please. Somebody is watching this back right now and is behind. Eat More Taco says, I don't know if you're still alive because I'm way behind, but I'm surprised more teams don't milk the clock late like Jokic. The Knicks made a bucket to make it 108-104 with maybe 2:30 left, and the Spurs really quickly inbounded. Walking the dog is most certainly an art. Most certainly. That veteran presence would sure be necessary at a time like this. Every second counts in that position. Wait until the under 2 minute clock starts. You can waste up to 8 seconds. You bring up good points. This is giving vibes of the Celtics series last year for the Knicks. Do you agree? They win 2 games in Boston. Well, they ended up winning in 6, right? Oh, that would go the exact way. So I essentially predicted the Boston series. The Knicks win the first 2 games on the road. They lose game 3. They win game 4. They lose game 5. They win game 6. That's how the Boston series went. That's what I predicted. So, yes, I agree with you. Twitter. Who is Lainey Wilson? Who is Lainey Wilson? Watch Yellowstone one time. Wow. You don't know ball. Well, the Knicks have had multiple double-digit comebacks. It is the Boston series. It's not 20-plus point comebacks in the fourth quarter. Those are insane comebacks, but the Knicks did have double-digit comebacks, so it is running parallel to Boston series. Nothing I love more than pissing off Twitter. Why would I watch Yellowstone? I'm not 40. It's too bad. You're missing out. First thing I'm going to do after watching this, whoever you are, I'm going to go watch World News Tonight with David Muir. ABC World News Tonight. Then I'm going to go watch a World War II documentary and a movie called Pressure. And then I'm going to go listen to some country music and go to bed. Maybe there's even a new Frontline episode as well. All I'm missing is grilling some meats, and I will be the perfect 40-year-old. I wouldn't be doing that if I was your age. I assume you're like 19 or something. I'd be playing video games, getting drunk, going out, all that fun stuff. There's got to be a different content creator for you, someone more that you can relate to. There's certainly no shortage of people voicing their opinions on the internet now with basketball. Once upon a time, this time last decade, I was still the only person doing shit on Twitter, like the only person doing post-game shows. Now there's hundreds of shows, and God bless. Go out there and go make your money. Plenty of people with opinions out there, so there's more options than just me. Yes. Why do I think home court advantage has meant less over the years? Is it just the three-pointer being the great equalizer? It's also the great variance. The Knicks don't make three-pointers in the fourth quarter tonight, and you're going to lose a game at home. A lot of their offense is intended to spread out that San Antonio defense and have Victor Wembanyama trying to close out all of those shot attempts and cover all of that ground. It means they got to make their shots. Part of the game. And when you go on a little cold streak like they did, that's what happens. So yes, I would say home court advantage is not even close. It's just a drop in the bucket compared to the impact that three-point variance has on the pace and space style of play of today's game. No spoilers. I want to know if D-Day, if it works for the Americans. Yeah. I think pressure is going to work out okay. I was watching Pearl Harbor, the movie, before tip-off tonight. Do I ever run out of World War II documentaries? Are they ever expanding the plot? That's a good comment and question. No, but sometimes you get a documentary on a mission that you've never heard of before, like some shit that happened, like when the assassins in Czechoslovakia were planning to assassinate Heydrich, what's his name? Reinhard Heydrich, sorry. He always drove around Prague in his convertible, or the equivalent of. He was cocky as shit, like no one's going to touch me. And then they tried to put a bomb underneath his car at a stop sign. It didn't work. And then they tried to shoot him and they hit him. And then he just was like, all right, I'm fine. Take me to the hospital. Then he went into sepsis shock and died. There's a conspiracy theory that Heinrich Himmler actually poisoned him because one of his personal physicians went to attend to Heydrich, who was one of his biggest rivals within the Nazi inner circle. So that the conspiracy theory is to get rid of one of them, go like push some medicine and we'll just say he died. Yeah. Ken Burns, Revolutionary War doc. Good stuff. Spurs are going to send in those backup pigs like kamikaze pilots. Biombo, Plumlee, and yeah, maybe even Kelly Olynyk. JPC asks, do you have any World War II documentary recommendations? I need some as soon as possible. Well, you can start with just by watching World War II in color, which streams live on YouTube, just repeats 12 episodes, maybe even 14. By far my best recommendation. For World War I, there's a series called The Great War on YouTube, and he's done about, 500 different episodes. Very good stuff. When was the last time you turned on the lights? Well, not very often, honestly. I'm not going to turn them on even after the stream is over. I take my camera flashlight to get back to the couch and to watch the news. And then during the day, because my window faces east, it gets lit up with the sun. I don't have air conditioning. I don't have heat. I don't have lights. And I don't need any of them. When you live here at the beach, every day is 65 and sunny. So it's perfect all day, every day. Yeah, World War II in color is the YouTube channel. Significant other also watch the same shows. I don't think she does. She hasn't enough of me otherwise. Well, do you like The Boys? I found it corny. The first season was the best season. Emery says you should come to Istanbul someday. You would love the city and the culture and always crash at my place, man. I was planning for Istanbul to be my big summer vacation. So I'm going on 3, but the war started and not going to Istanbul, unfortunately, this year because I just don't want to be in the general area on a plane, especially. Even though it's probably safe, it's fine. I'll be back when it calms down a little bit. I think that's understandable. So instead, I'm going to Vietnam for 2 weeks. As soon as I'm done, it's Summer League after the first week. So I'll be in Vietnam for 2 weeks, and then I'm taking my dad to Whistler for his 70th birthday, which is British Columbia. Do that for a week, and then I go to Ireland for Ireland and London for a week and a half. But I am going for the UNC versus TCU football game, and then just staying in Ireland, going to the West Coast where all the cool shit is, and exploring over there. Do I live in England? How do I not have air conditioning? Because every day at the beach in Los Angeles is 65 degrees. I've lived here for 6 years and never once thought I need air conditioning. I sometimes turn on a fan if it gets into the high 70s, but that's about it. No humidity, nothing. We're in June gloom right now, so we have a marine layer that doesn't burn up until 1 o'clock, so it stays cool pretty much. June is our winter here. This is one of the coldest months by far. Yeah. The hottest month here in Los Angeles is September. Why would I watch Yellowstone? I'm not 40. Yeah, it's just someone who's uncultured. Get some Beth Dutton in your life, and you immediately will want to put on a cowboy hat. Yeah, Vietnam looks awesome. I just booked a full week's worth of activities. One of my activities is taking me into the Mekong Delta. I get to fire off a Viet Cong machine gun during the Vietnam War. That'll be fun. That's not the whole trip, but it's part of the trip. Rob, do I think the Obsession sequel is just the trial of Nikki? There's a sequel coming? Why? They're making a sequel to Obsession? That movie should just end. It was perfect. That was terrifying. I don't want to spoil it, but well, I guess I just did. Sorry. Are the Yellowstone spinoffs worth watching? No. Do I think Spike Lee will eventually direct a Knicks movie, or is that too on the nose? Well, he bought the rights to Chris Herring's Blood in the Garden, but it's a whole process trying to get a movie made. So I don't know if it'll ever actually come about. Gerpel says, hey, my dad turned 72 this year. Hurley, happy birthday to your dad. You as well. I've been in LA 6 years now. Damn, time flies. I've been here almost 6 years. My second stint, I was there 6 years the first time. So I've been in LA for 12 total years. I was in West Hollywood, where you definitely need air conditioning. You got to remember there's like 7 to 8 different climates here within the LA metro area. Ronald says Blood in the Garden was a fun read for someone not alive during that 90s Knicks run. Yeah, Chris did a good job on that. I even read some stuff about the training camps in Charleston that even I didn't know about. And obviously the 90s Knicks are my entire life in wardrobe. Such a good shirt. Starks the dunk on Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen, I think. All right. Chat has calmed down. Everyone's going to bed. Only 29,000 of you here on Twitter. I think we could say goodnight. No, I don't. Justin Termini lived down in South Bay. I am not in South Bay. That's a completely different neighborhood from where I'm at. But even then, we didn't know each other at the time until we started working together at Sirius. Not a black shirt from eBay, you know, ball. Yankee MSU says, underrated World War II doc, Hitler's best kept secret, the Ava Brown tapes. Lots of video footage that many haven't seen before. Yeah, Ava was kept out of the public spotlight for pretty much the entirety of her life in the war. She was like a child too, man. I guess that's how they rolled back then. Just barely 18, I think. 19 maybe when they met. You got it, guys. Yeah, more than 5 different weather forecasts here in LA. It's like 7. Valley, city, beach, mountains, inland empire, like Orange County. 6. What else am I missing? Desert. Oh, high desert. 7. 7 weather reports. Kalen says, thank you for talking me off the Knicks cliff. You are welcome. We'll be just fine. On that note, it's been a pleasure, my friends. Stay on the timeline. I'll be back after game 4. We'll test if I'm still stoic and level-headed. All right. See ya. Bye.